It is hard to believe that over 70% of the Earth's surface is covered with water. Although there are several seas and oceans, the world has one global ocean. The body of saltwater that covers a greater percentage of the Earth is home to many things. Scientists believe that about 90% of the ocean remains unexplored. In today's video, we bring you 10 of the strangest things found in the ocean. 28,000 tons of masks. The pandemic has been terrible for humans, but it has taken its toll on the ocean. Moving forward, things might keep being bad for the ocean. Scientists estimate that over 28,000 tons of pandemic-related waste have been dumped into the ocean. This means things like masks and gloves. In comparison, it is as if 2 double-decker buses filled with masks were dumped into the ocean. This is as bad as plastic waste that has been dumped into the ocean for years. But scientists say that this garbage will end up at the North Pole within a few years. This means that Santa would have a truckload of discarded COVID masks to deal with in a few years. The Moncell Seaforts. The Moncell Seaforts are located right off the English coast. They were initially built in the Second World War to serve as defensive platforms that would protect the United Kingdom against German aircraft. The construction of these platforms started in 1942, and they were decommissioned about a decade later in the 1950s. The platforms are named after the guy who designed them, Guy Moncell. Guy designed these seaforts to be the most technologically advanced things at the time. Each superstructure consisted of hollow towers connected to a huge pontoon base. The towers were divided into several floors for storage rooms, crew quarters, and ammunition deposits. Each tower was manned by a crew of 120 soldiers manning anti-aircraft guns. After the war, the fortresses were no longer needed and have spent the last 80 years rotting in the ocean. Queen of the Ocean. Scientists have discovered a beast that they've named the Queen of the Ocean off the coast of Nova Scotia. This beast is a giant white shark with many years on her rap sheet. She's covered in the scars of battle and weighs more than 3,500 pounds. Scientists have estimated her age to be about 50 years old. She is 17 feet long, which makes her a monster among monsters. Researchers discovered the queen during an expedition to tag great white sharks and take biological samples. It's all part of an effort to better understand shark migration patterns through the North Atlantic and how healthy the population is. They tagged up to 9 female great whites. These sharks can live up to 70 years in the wild. The Queen of the Ocean was the largest specimen they encountered. Researchers say she's a grandmother and has probably reproduced 15 times in her life by now. Deep sea whale. Marine scientists have identified a totally new species of beaked whale. This creature was named the Ramari's beaked whale after a famous Maori whale expert. The animal's habitat is more than 6,000 feet beneath the ocean's surface, which is probably why it wasn't identified and documented until recently. This whale is one of the visible inhabitants of the ocean because of its size. It measures over 17 feet and can weigh more than a ton. This means it will be quite smaller in size to the Queen of the Ocean, but maybe not as heavy. Research has shown that these whale species have evolved over 500,000 years. Its favorite food is squid, and it can be easily recognized by its single large tusk sticking from its lower jaw. This whale comes near the surface when it rises up to 3,000 feet to hunt for food. It doesn't hang out here for long because it has to hide from its main predator, the killer whale. Pristine corals. Scientists made a shocking discovery in the ocean off the coast of Tahiti. They found acres and acres of pristine corals blossoming in the region of the ocean known as the Twilight Zone. This coral reef is so large and beautiful that scientists are surprised they haven't found it earlier. The fantastic thing about this coral reef and how it got its name is that it appears to be in impeccable condition. At a time when most of the world's coral reefs are being bleached by the increasing temperatures of the ocean, the pristine coral reef is a marvel. This team of divers was led by Alexis Rosenfeld, and he compared this reef to a work of art. This reef stretches into the dark parts of the ocean, and scientists measured it to be about 2 miles long. This reef exists at a depth of 230 feet, in the part of the ocean where there is just enough light to sustain life. Scientists predict that 90% of the living coral will be gone in the next 2 decades. Giantammonites. Researchers have just identified an ocean monster that went extinct 66 million years ago, along with the dinosaurs. A group of researchers discovered it while looking at a group of fossils gathered from England to Mexico. They could deduce that the fossils belong to single species of giant ammonites. This creature is similar to a modern cephalopod, but its spiral shell is over 6 feet tall. The creature glides through the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean with its tentacles, slurping up anything that comes too close. It looked like a blown-up version of the cuttlefish. Scientists learned that the huge ammonite came into being about 80 million years ago by studying the fossils. Ancient beer. Can you imagine a bottle of beer as old as Canada? Well, one was discovered off the coast of Halifax in the province of Nova Scotia. A local man named John Krause was diving during a rainstorm off Nova Scotia's northwest arm when he discovered the beer bottle resting on the floor of the Atlantic Ocean. When he got to the surface to inspect the bottle properly, he couldn't believe what he had found. Alexander Keith's Beer Company imported bottles of their brew from England to Canada between 1872 and 1890. The preserved cork in the bottle shows that this beer bottle was from even further back, in 1820. It was probably made at one of the oldest commercial breweries ever built in North America. This bottle was over 200 years old and was still filled with bubbly beer. Ghostly sculptures. In 2005, a sculptor and diver named Jason DeCaris Taylor came up with an unheard-of idea. He wanted to create underwater sculpture gardens to draw tourists away from fragile coral reefs. Scuba diving in a coral reef may seem okay, but all that heavy gear and moving around can cause damage. Jason created an underwater sculpture garden off the coast of Grenada. He created a tidal installation in the Maldives and a miniature sculpture paradise off the coast of Australia, with temperature-sensitive LEDs that turn the ocean red. Jason has inspired a lot of underwater gardens across the world. Non-profit organizations hoping to save ocean life follow in his footsteps and dump sculptures into the ocean to attract tourists away from coral reefs. These sculptures also help reduce trawling, as the nets will get snagged and tear, helping to save entire habitats of fish that trawlers wipe away each year. UFO. A Swedish researcher, Peter Lindberg, believes that he has discovered what appears to be a flying saucer that crashed into the ocean. Peter isn't just some guy in his house looking at Google Earth. Peter and his team are actual scientists with a track record of recovering sunken ships and their cargo. The researchers were using sonar to look for the wreck of a ship carrying rare bottles of champagne, which sank over 100 years ago when they found this mysterious object. This mysterious object looked like the Millennium Falcon from the Star Wars movie, sitting 300 feet deep at the bottom of the ocean between Finland and Sweden. Sonar images don't lie, and Peter and his team definitely found something. The fact that it looks like the Millennium Falcon may or may not be coincidental. The object has a diameter measuring 60 feet and has markings in its environment. It appeared to have scraped across the ground to come to where it rests now. This suggests that it crashed maybe millions of years ago when that area was still dry land. Giant icefish breeding colony. Scientists have identified the largest breeding colony of fish in Antarctica. This discovery is shocking. In the Weddell Sea, over 1,000 feet beneath the ocean's surface, there are more than 60 million nests of active icefish. These nests span about 92 square miles. There are so many nests that when the camera sent to observe them saw them, the researchers couldn't move the camera more than a few inches without coming across another nest. These nests are a few inches apart, with a single icefish guarding each clutch of eggs. The icefish itself is a fascinating creature. It has evolved to live only in freezing waters. It has a huge heart with clear blood. They don't have red cells or hemoglobin. They don't have a way of transferring oxygen in their body, so they just absorb oxygen from the water through their skin. The creature is called P. sepenredensis. Experts believe that it evolved from a smaller ammonite that could grow only up to 90 centimeters. Regardless of where it came from or how it evolved, this giant ammonite was a true beast of the ocean. If not for that asteroid, sailors and divers might have had to deal with this massive creature.